Allen Company, 47 years young and a proud sponsor, wishes OOIDA all the best as you celebrate 50 years.
OOIDA, representing America's truckers since 1973, presents Landline Now with your host, Mark Reddick.
What matters to you as a truck driver? The American Transportation Research Institute is asking truckers across the country that question as part of its annual Top Industry Issues survey. I'll talk with Dan Murray, Senior Vice President of ATRI, about the survey and what the organization hopes to get out of it. OOIDA's 50th anniversary celebration is underway right now at the Guilty by Association Truck Show at Four State Trucks in Joplin, Missouri. And Landline Now's Ashley Blackford is on the ground to see what's going on. She'll have a report for us on today's show. And finally, summer is behind us and fall is here, which means it's about time to get your paperwork and permits in order. We've got a few to make sure you've got on your radar, and joining us with all the details are Brittany Murphy and Caleb Sears of OOIDA's Permits and Licensing Department. But first, the news with Scott Thompson.
Thanks, Mark. Our top story today, Julie Su's status as acting leader of the U.S. Department of Labor is legal. That's according to a U.S. Government Accountability Office decision. In that decision, released on Thursday, the GAO said that the Federal Vacancies Reform Act of 1998 does not apply to Su's role as acting secretary, and as such, she may continue serving in that role until a successor is appointed. Su remains the acting leader of the Labor Department, despite appearing to lack the votes for confirmation in the Senate. President Biden picked Su, formerly California's labor commissioner, in February to replace Marty Walsh as acting labor secretary. Her confirmation hearing was in April, but her nomination still hasn't been brought up for a vote. United Auto Workers has expanded its strike against the big three automakers. Workers walked out of 38 General Motors and Stellantis parts distribution centers in 20 states on Friday. That adds another 5,600 UAW members now striking, pushing the total to more than 18,000. UAW's president said Ford isn't part of the additional strikes because it met some of the union's demands during negotiations. The strike began a week ago. UAW wants wage increases of 36% over 4 years, pointing to the company's profit margins going up. The union also wants a 32-hour work week for 40 hours of pay and a restoration of traditional pension plans for newer workers. A couple hundred new truck parking spaces are officially open off Interstate 80 in Wyoming. Administrator of the Federal Highway Administration, Shaylin Batt, helped cut the ribbon on the project on Wednesday alongside other federal, state, and local officials. The I-80 winter freight project started due to the challenges presented by Wyoming's harsh winter conditions. The 200 parking spots between Laramie and Rawlins provide drivers a place to pull over during inclement weather, but they're also available for use year-round. Batt told Landline that this is a type of project that saves lives.
It can be an inconvenience for truckers who can't find a parking spot, but it can also be a life and death issue. And, we often talk about Jason's Law. This is for Jason Rivenberg, who was a trucker from upstate New York who was, had to pull over in a gas station that was out of service in South Carolina, was killed. I mean, this is it's not about convenience, it's about safety, and that's why this is such a critical issue for the Federal Highway Administration.
Andrea Staley of the Wyoming DOT told us that the I-80 winter freight project is a long time coming.
We've had studies done all the way back from 2008 that recommended an I-80 safety project of this type that we needed to address, because I-80 is a very heavily trafficked commercial lane from the east to the west coast, and we want to make sure that we're able to accommodate that. We don't want to close unnecessarily for our commercial drivers. We understand how important their services are, and they're putting their lives out, on the line just simply by doing their job. So we want to make it as safe as we can, at least in our state, for them. We do understand the complications that come with the winter driving at the higher altitudes. I believe that we have the highest point on I-80 is just north of Laramie, and that's nearly at 9,000 feet. So it is going to be, a different type of driving. We want to make sure that everyone's safe while they're, on our section of the interstate.
The U.S. Department of Transportation provided $27.7 million for the project, including a $20 million grant. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission has filed a lawsuit against a trucking company alleging discrimination. The EEOC said New Orleans-based Trico Transportation Services violated the Americans with Disabilities Act when it pulled a job offer after learning that the applicant had a history of back pain. Officials said the truck driver applied for an open position with Trico in May of 2021. The driver was offered the job on the condition he passed a drug test and DOT physical exam. The applicant did, but the EEOC said Trico considered the applicant to be, quote, high risk due to his answers on the company's medical questionnaire. The EEOC is seeking money on behalf of that truck driver for lost wages and benefits, as well as legal assurances that Trico won't do the same thing to another person. Another big city is considering an overnight truck parking ban. San Antonio's Public Safety Committee heard the pitch earlier this week. KSAT reports that the city's police department presented the proposal for an ordinance that would ban overnight truck parking along all non-residential city streets in San Antonio between the hours of 2 and 6 a.m. It said complaints from businesses prompted the proposal and that the city has enough truck parking lots to accommodate parking needs. But the owner of a truck parking lot in San Antonio told KSAT that's just not the case, that there simply isn't enough truck parking in the city, much less the nation. The police department admitted in its presentation that it hasn't spoken with any truck drivers or trucking groups about the proposed ordinance. The Guilty by Association Truck Show is officially underway in Joplin, Missouri. The 3-day event happens every 2 years and is a bit different each time. Show organizer Brian Martin of Chrome Shop Mafia says it's good to be back.
It's great to have everybody come to our house for the party. This show is non-competitive. It's just a reunion for all these guys, a big weekend party. We all get to work together to raise some really serious funds for Special Olympics, so it's kind of the best of all worlds. But no, the camaraderie and the vibe on the parking lot is fabulous.
Todd Spencer, president of the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association, says GBATS is a great opportunity to celebrate the association's 50th anniversary.
Well, this has been a show that we participated in for quite a few years now because it's a fun show. And we have lots of members, lots of folks that are connected, buy stuff, work here. And for us, we thought it was a perfect place to celebrate our 50th anniversary. So the perfect location. And if you're out and you're listening to, come on by.
The event continues through Saturday. We'll have much more from GBATS later on in the program from our Ashley Blackford, who's down in Joplin to cover all the festivities. And finally, it takes a special type of athlete to win at the Olympics, so many of us will never know what that feels like. But this variation on the Olympics is a bit more my speed in that it requires none. AFP reports that the Lazy Olympics, as it's called, has been going on for more than a month now in Montenegro. The annual competition rewards laziness, providing competitors with mattresses where they do next to nothing. One 23-year-old participant said she'd been lying there for 800 hours. She added she'll get up when she gets bored, but doesn't know when that will happen. A bed and breakfast began the competition more than 10 years ago as a way to celebrate the country's relaxed ways and to poke fun at some of the stereotypes of laziness it's incurred over the years. The winner gets €1,000, which is about $1,000. That's Landline Now News for today. I'm Scott Thompson.
Thanks, Scott. Do you have a news tip, or maybe you have a comment about something you heard on the air? Email us at landlinenow@ooida.com. Next, I'll talk with Dan Murray of Atria about its annual Top Industry Issues Survey. Ashley Blackford reports from the Guilty by Association Truck Show, and Scott Thompson covers some permit deadlines with Brittany Murphy and Caleb Sears of OOIDA's Permits and Licensing Department. I'm Mark Reddick, and this is Landline Now.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you want more content, go to landline.media to get updated news, information, and archived editions of our show. Once again, that's landline.media.
Firestone tires are for more of everything. More miles for every tire dollar, and more confidence in your fleet. At Firestone, we help fleets save with dependable value. Find your local Firestone dealer today at firestonetire.com/dealer.
Ready to make more money? Use a better load board. For a limited time, get 50% off Truckstop Load Board Pro. Just go to truckstop.com/go and enter promo code READY2023 when you purchase Load Board Pro.
Landline Now, welcome back. What matters to you as a truck driver? The The American Transportation Research Institute is asking truckers across the country that question as part of its annual Top Industry Issues survey. I talked recently with Dan Murray, Senior Vice President of ATRI, about the survey and what the organization hopes to get out of it.
You know, the Top Industry Issues report, we're on over a decade of doing this. It's become an annual report because we noticed that over time, you know, some of these issues are acute and they come and go quickly. Others are perennial issues. And, you know, our only hope is we can move them up or down a little bit on the list. So we're trying to capture trucking industry stakeholders' biggest issues, but also strategies for addressing those issues. So when you see the survey, you'll have a choice to pick and prioritize among a couple dozen big issues, but you can also pick those strategies that you think are most effective. Now, it's really important to get trucking industry stakeholders in general, but we're very, very intrigued with separating out truck drivers from motor carriers, from other stakeholders. We have government folks involved, we have law enforcement involved, but the truck drivers in particular are important when we look at investment. For instance, truck parking has been the number one issue for truck drivers 3 years in a row. And when we release this next report next month, I'm not so sure that's going to move. Truck parking is a big issue. And it also is helping us rationalize when we go to USDOT, when we go to Congress, when we go to the states, to emphasize investment in truck parking. We need more capacity, not just private truck stops, but we need more truck parking capacity at public rest stops. We know the truck drivers use those two different facilities for very different reasons. And some of our historical research shows that women truck drivers prefer public rest stops over private truck stops for safety and security reasons. So this report is one of our hallmark reports released every October, and it goes far and wide throughout the industry and government.
I'm wondering if you can explain a little bit about how this works. When I get onto the survey as a trucker, what is the process? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, it's an online survey. We know people take it on their phones, not while they're driving, of course. You can take it on your computer. It's the classic Survey Monkey, where you literally, click your top three issues and click the next. And for each of those issues, it gives you, the top strategies for addressing those issues. For instance, truck parking. Do we need more real-time truck parking systems? Do we need more capacity? Is it public versus private? But it really can be done in probably less than 5 minutes. Very user-friendly. We moved away from the old paper versions of the survey where people had to fax or scan it in. So it's an online system. And again, it's probably 3 to 4 pages at the most. And by the way, everyone who takes that survey will get a copy of the results. All you have to do is add your email address at the bottom of the survey, and next month we'll automatically send it straight to the email address.
You mentioned earlier that you look at driver concerns and also the concerns of others in the industry. Why do you divide those?
Well, Mark, there's a big debate out there in the marketplace, and you know this intimately, over whether there's really a driver shortage issue. The economic definition, there probably isn't a driver shortage issue. The argument is, more pay, more benefits, more time at home, and the drivers will come racing in. On the other hand, every trucking company out there has had to turn down a profitable load because they can't get a driver to take it from A to Z. I'm only giving you that background because one of the things we do is the motor carriers. Truck driver shortage, number one issue, 6 years in a row. And when they say, what are we going to do about this driver shortage issue, we point at the truck driver list and say, this list is putting the truck drivers out of business, out of the industry, putting them into retirement early. We've got to start chewing off some of the items on the truck driver list, ranging from driver compensation to driver detention is a huge issue. It's always in the top 5 for truck drivers. Truck parking, I've already mentioned. So this really gives us kind of a microscope on which to focus if we really want to address this truck driver shortage issue or whatever it really is. We're losing truck drivers from the industry for a whole bunch of reasons, and this list tells us what those reasons are.
Okay. Why do you think that there is this disconnect between drivers and carriers on what issues are important to them?
Well, for instance, truck parking, number one issue for truck drivers, 3 years in a row, mentioned that. It only showed up on the motor carrier list, truck parking, as an issue 1 or 2 years ago. And it's because the owners, the executives, the safety directors, the terminal managers, they're not in the cab. They're not going down the road, pulling off into a rest stop, finding out it's full, moving on down, having to park on a dangerous shoulder or exit ramp. So it wasn't sort of in their face until they started seeing it show up on the truck driver list. And then they started hearing about truck drivers having issues. And believe it or not, our ATRI research shows that truck drivers spend, 40 to 50 minutes a day, out of route, non-revenue time looking for truck parking. So not only is it hours of service and staging and a bunch of other reasons behind it, truck parking issues basically take money out of a truck driver's pocket. Motor carriers are understanding that now, and it's moved on to the motor carrier list, and they're some of the biggest advocates in Congress saying we need a dedicated truck parking funding program. We need more capacity, and hopefully Congress passes this potentially new $755 million truck parking program. Let's see what they do, but things like the top industry issues list, when it goes to Congress, when it goes to state legislatures, we think they start to listen.
You mentioned that you're looking for solutions from people, and I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about some of the solutions that have been proposed to some of these problems already or over the past year.
Yeah, wide-ranging. Some of them are very creative and thinking outside the box. Others are one of those things where, do you really want to do that? But we capture them all and we document them all. But we've had folks, for instance, say, with driver detention at shipper receiver facilities, the federal government should step in and take over. Well, believe it or not, the USDOT has a study underway looking at the role of driver detention and does it create safety issues? It quite possibly does. If I lose 2 or 3 hours of pay sitting at a shipper facility, there's a possibility I'm just going to drive faster to make up for lost time and lost money. So, we get a lot of ideas that I think do percolate. We've had drivers say the DOT needs to take this issue seriously. Lo and behold, we have a study on it. Now, how much you want the government involved in managing, private sector, capitalism, I don't know. It's not my job at ATRI. We just do the research. But we've also had drivers, for instance, with truck parking, propose that shippers and receivers expand their terminals and their parking lots to allow for truck parking, and not just their customer trucks, but any trucks. Very creative idea, and we've seen a few shippers now starting to look at that. And so, the shippers, they want their supply chains to move fast. They realize, well, if we keep the trucks happy, the drivers happy, safe, they'll stay and they'll participate in the supply chain. So I think the kitchen is getting bigger and we're getting more chefs into it in a good way.
Okay. Few more cooks in the soup, so to speak.
Sometimes there's a benefit.
There we go. Well, I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit, Dan, about how you would like this information to be used. I mean, you're going to gather a lot of information here. What would you like to see result from this survey in the end?
Well, one of the things, and I apologize to any public sector listeners, of course, is our friends in government, local, state, federal, they don't understand trucking. They don't understand supply chains. They don't want the trucks on the road, but they sure want their e-commerce package delivered, tomorrow morning, maybe even this afternoon. So they're involved in a lot of urban planning. They're making a lot of decisions about roads, rest stops, even zoning. They'll zone truck parking out of urban areas, and yet they want their store shelf stock. So I am always advocating to get this report, Top Industry Issues Report, into the hands of government folks, because knowledge is power. The more they understand the role of trucking, truck drivers, and goods movement, I think the more sympathetic they'll be to some of our needs. And when we hand them the top industry issues list and say, this is what the industry needs, and a lot of things on this list could be resolved by government policies and investment, then I think they'll listen. And then we're not competing with transit and sewers and open spaces, you name it. We'll have a role at the table when it comes to a lot of urban planning. So no question, government is right in the crosshairs of this report for us.
I know that you're always looking for more participants in this. Now, obviously, on research, more participation is typically better. Are there particular types of truckers that you would like to see take part in this survey?
Well, if you look at the data, and ATRI is all about the data, 96% of all trucking companies, registered with the USDOT are 20 and fewer trucks. So I'm obviously interested in getting small fleets and owner-operators numbers way up. Last year, we had a record number of participants for the whole industry, and particularly truck drivers and owner-operators. 26% of all respondents last year were truck drivers for small fleets or owner-operators. Our numbers are down this year compared to last year, but we still have another week or two to get these results in. And the only thing they have to do is go to one website, truckingresearch.org, truckingresearch.org. If you accidentally go to truckingresearch.com, it still takes you there. And right front and center, you just click on the top industry issue survey, and your voice will be heard. And that survey, again, will only take you probably 4 to 5 minutes at the very most.
Okay. What is the deadline for people to take part?
Well, officially, we were going to try to close up the survey and start running the statistics at the end of September. So in a perfect world, I'd say to you, close a business next Friday. But if all of a sudden we get a really solid outpouring, we'll keep it open and for another week, and that gives us more responses to analyze. And Mark, you hit it on the head. More data is better. It gives us more validity and reliability, as the statisticians say, but mostly it gives us a lot of confidence that we have so many participants in the data and the lists that they're going to be accurate. They're going to be reflective of what the truck drivers and the motor carriers really need.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, or anything that I didn't ask about that you think I should have?
Well, I'd say in general, ATRI is the not-for-profit research arm of the trucking industry. We have a research advisory committee that has truck driver groups, motor carriers, vendors, government. But it's so important that we stay engaged with everybody in the industry. And the best way to do that is anybody who's listening right now, when they go to truckingresearch.org, they can click on the contact database, put their email and name in, and we push all of our research out free of charge to our whole contact database. We have research underway right now on predatory towing, driver detention, advanced safety systems, what's good about active safety systems on the truck and maybe what's not so good. So all of that research, when it's finished and published, we send it out for free to everybody. So when you go to fill out the survey, you can also put your name and contact info, and you'll get all this research right into your email.
Excellent. Dan, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Mark. Have a great day.
Again, that was Dan Murray, the Senior Vice President of the American Transportation Research Institute, talking about the organization's annual Top Industry Issues Survey. You can take part in the survey by going to truckingresearch.org. Landline Now will be back in a moment.
Forget accuracy, weigh your truck on a CAT scale.
When you weigh on a CAT scale, you get a no excuses guarantee. You can now save time weighing by using your smartphone. Find out more at weightmytruck.com.
Since you started, what you've loved about trucking is the freedom. Heading out on your favorite route, a good driving song, and thinking about truck insurance. Well, maybe not that last one. That's why we're here. At OOIDA, we have a full range of truck insurance products, expert advice, and great customer service, helping you get the right coverage for your operation. Go to OOIDA.com, because your job is to drive. Our job is to help with everything else.
Landline Now, welcome back. Events are in full swing at the Guilty by Association Truck Show in Joplin, Missouri. Landline Now's Ashley Blackford is there and joins us with more.
Thanks, Mark. I am here at GBATS. Brian Martin joins me. He is the owner of 4 State Trucks, home of Chrome Shop Mafia, which puts on the show every 2 years. Brian, how does it feel to be back and seeing everyone here?
It's great to have everybody come to our house for the party. This show is non-competitive. It's just a reunion for all these guys, a big weekend party. We all get to work together to raise some really serious funds for Special Olympics, so it's kind of the best of all worlds. But no, the camaraderie and the vibe on the parking lot is fabulous.
And this year, how's it different from years past?
Every year it has so many things similar to the prior one, but yet we're not a status quo bunch. We always want to make it bigger, badder, more high energy, more high impact than before. This year we did add the after party on Thursday night. We've never done that. We've got monster trucks this year, doing like 3 demos a day on Friday, 3 demos a day on Saturday.
One thing I've heard a lot of, this is my first time here, one thing I've heard a lot is everyone says it's not like other truck shows. What do you say or feel when you hear that?
You know, I've been going to truck shows for 30 years, and I tried to put into our first Guilty by Association truck show the elements that people told me they wanted to see at other shows, but yet those other shows didn't offer. I modeled Big Iron Classic in Minnesota. A lot of people had great things to say about that, as well as a ton of other shows, but we took the competition out of it. Like, this is essentially an unjudged show. The only judges here is every truck owner. Every truck owner gets to vote for his favorite bobtail of the whole show and his favorite combo. And then the people, attendees, you, me, anybody, anywhere, can vote for people's choice. Well, you know, if they don't like the judging here, they're the judges. So I took all that out, and it really, they circulate, they share trade secrets, you know, they admire each other's trucks. It's not like a secretive, scored, highly competitive show, which we love those too, but this is much more relaxed. People are just here to see old friends, make new friends, have a good time.
It kind of seems like a kind of family reunion.
Yes, it's good folks enjoying a weekend together. And it's all our industry, it's our people. So it's as much fun for us as it probably is for them. So.
Now, this has to be a lot of work, but do you get to enjoy it?
It's a lot of work, a lot of stress, but we do enjoy it. Being in the middle of it is quite an adrenaline rush, especially when you get to Friday night, all day Saturday. It's great to see all the customers and the truckers and all of our vendor friends. It's great for the city of Joplin. There's a lot of trucking industry roots in Joplin, and they really come out big for the convoy, the trip downtown, and being able to line the streets and watch hundreds of trucks go by, and then end up downtown under the streetlights. Everybody really loves that. But we do enjoy hosting it. We enjoy orchestrating it, and it's really something to be in the middle of and think, wow, you know, all these people came out like to an event that was started by a parts store. Like, really?
Do you get some inspiration walking through ideas and?
Oh yeah. To this day, we learn something every day of every show that we think, man, we should put a different spin on that next year. Or this isn't working exactly like we hoped, let's change it for next year. And then even customers. The reason we're having a golf cart competition tomorrow is because the last 2 GBATs, people said, there's 300 golf carts here, why aren't we having a golf cart competition? So, you know, you do get feedback, and you can implement that into the schedule, and it adds a lot of flair.
Of course, what's a truck show without a father-son duo walking around the grounds and checking out the trucks? I spoke with Wesley Dewick and his 7-year-old son.
Well, we're just hanging out over here, and we brought 2 trucks out here, and just having fun. First time actually entering a truck here, so.
Why did you decide to enter a truck?
I've never done it before, and so.
Why this show? Why GBATS?
So I've been here one time before, and I liked it. Last weekend we were at Wilkins Truck Show in Tonkawa, and this weekend here, and it's close to where we're out of, so I mean a couple hours away. So.
Can you talk about what your truck looks like?
Yeah, it's a 2022 Peterbilt 389 Legendary Brown with a Porsche white frame, and a flat top.
What has it been like so far, just walking around?
So far it's been good. We've gotten food and finished our registration over there, so we're fixing to go get more stuff and start cleaning on the truck. So. All
right. Can I just ask you, do you like coming to truck shows?
Yeah.
What is your favorite color of truck?
Blue.
Blue? I like the blue ones too. Todd Spencer joins me now. Todd, can you talk to me about OOIDA's involvement in this show?
Well, this has been a show that we participated in for quite a few years now because it's a fun show. And we have lots of members, lots of folks that are connected, work buy stuff, work here. And for us, we thought it was a perfect place to celebrate our 50th anniversary. So the perfect location. And if you're out and you're listening to, come on by.
And what do you look forward to most about this show and being here?
Interacting with truckers. I mean, talking to people about issues that they're having and our industry and what they do. And that's, I mean, it's good to talk to the folks that are on the road.
And talk to me about how this is a good learning opportunity for our staff to hear from those guys and gals who are out driving.
Well, yeah, we like our staff to be as knowledgeable and as focused about the situations that real truckers deal with every day. So, and if the more they can be in that, the more they know, the better they're going to be able to anticipate and help resolve problems.
And this is, I know Jamie said, there's a lot of our members that do come to this.
Absolutely, and always have. And, again, it's a good chance to get reacquainted. And obviously, for folks that may be here that don't know much about our organization, stop by because, hey, we'll benefit from the dialogue, both of us.
And obviously, it's an exciting year because, like you mentioned, our 50th.
Oh, yeah, it's our 50th. And, we've been around for a while. We were started by a bunch of frustrated truckers. But frustrated truckers that knew if you're ever going to make real change, you had to work within the system. And the only way to work with the system is to actually be organized in a real functional manner. And, we've been there for quite a while. And of course, none of the problems that drivers have, the challenges they have, they're not easy to resolve. And oftentimes there's no one else that's going to be in the fight on behalf of truckers. And lots of other folks see a benefit to themselves from keeping things just the way they are. And, hey, good luck to them, but, I hope there's more good luck for us because we're going to persevere. We're going to keep trying to do what's right on behalf of the folks that we represent. They deserve it.
Truett Nova said came from Texas to show a few of his trucks. I spoke with him on Thursday to see how things were going.
Just enjoying the show here at Joplin. G-Bats, we look forward to it every year. Brian used to have it every year. Now it's 2 years. Brian puts a great show on, entertainment. It's like a family reunion for all of us truckers. We enjoy coming to them. It's a lot like the Shell show. We enjoy going to it just to have the camaraderie and hang out and see what everybody else been doing.
And it seems like it's one of those shows, it's a family event.
Correct. 100% family event. That's what Brian and Bryce and the whole Martin family do is they try to make it a true family-oriented. I mean, they got kids games, kids rides, stuff for the family, and 90% of it is free and donated and for the family and for the community here in Joplin.
When you're walking around, are you getting any ideas or any inspiration?
Mine is always working, and that's what you come for. You see what they did or somebody else did, and you go, I like that, or I like this, or I would change that. It looks good, but yes, mine is always working.
How many years you been coming?
I was originally one of the original 10 that Brian invited, so I don't know how many years ago that was. It makes me feel old, but when it was just 10 trucks, it was truly invitation only. So I've been here every year. I haven't missed one yet.
How has it grown over the years?
Well, like I said, it was 10 originally, and I think the other day when I checked, the pre-registration was 700 pre-registered. So from 10 to 700 in 13 years.
Why do you think it's such a successful show and it's grown?
One thing is location, and the Martin family is a good spot. I mean, Joplin's a great spot because the location and Martin family they know how to entertain, and all have been about trucks all of their life and been in the business, so they understand truckers and what truckers kind of like. So I think it just goes hand in hand.
Thursday evening brought a first for G-Bats, a demolition derby. I caught up with Cody Smith, who was prepping his ride before the event.
I'm here to junk a car that's been through going on 4 derbies. Well, it's a 78 or 9 T-Bird, Ford power plant. So everybody around here runs Chevys. I run Fords, so very rare.
And why do you like doing derbies?
Well, it's an adrenaline rush, like no other. It's addicting. Everybody has hobbies. Everything's expensive, so you just got to pick and choose what you want to do. And well, I just happened to pick a dangerous one.
Have you done a derby here before or different ones?
Here, no. I've been derbying for 7 years since I was 16, so I've been around it my whole life since I was born. So,
What does it feel like?
it's hard to explain. You lose your train of thought, and you just think about derbying, and everything goes away. It's a completely blank space.
And how much time and effort goes into working on your car?
Realistically, too much. So, I mean, you can spend months and months on them and thousands of dollars, but this one I built in a month and a half, and about $8,000 in it, so.
Jesse Downey is a 4-State Trucks employee and was the driver of one of the demo derby cars, a first for him. I spoke with him before the race to find out how he was picked to participate.
I was the only one with a helmet, I guess.
Have you driven a derby car before?
No, but I've been to quite a few. I've been to Blizzard Bash and Topeka a couple times, and I've been around them all my life.
And now did you help kind of...
You did it. I built the car too. I built everything in the shop and in my spare time whenever I could.
And what's kind of... You don't just kind of... Explain to me like the science behind it all. Like you've got the smaller tires on the back, bigger ones on the front. Talk to me about some of the science behind it.
Well, I've learned that from everybody else basically, and they've all tried and trued it, and you put dents here so your car folds up in a certain way, and they do it, so I did it, so.
You don't just take a smashed up car and hope for the best?
Right, yeah. I mean, you can if but that car was donated by a guy at work here, so I started with a new car. It was nice.
Can you kind of explain just a couple things that you did do on it that you've seen over the years that have worked?
The roll cage, I put it and I plated it, fishtailed it, and I also put bigger bumpers. That seems to help in the compacts because it folds up and it makes like a rammer. It helps. And just putting the dings in the right spot and getting things trying to move the right way is the key.
You excited?
Yeah, a little bit.
Nervous?
Scared, a little bit, nervous, all the above.
Caden Nelson was working on his car before the Derby. The 12-year-old wasn't allowed to participate in this event, but said derbies are a favorite pastime of his.
Watching derby cars, or messing with derby cars.
Why do you like doing that?
I don't know, because I guess it's fun.
What makes it so fun? What do you enjoy most about it?
By driving it and wrecking people.
So you drive them yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Throw it in my ammo.
Ooh, what place did you get?
I got 6th, and I won $150.
Ooh. What'd you do with your winnings? Did you save it?
Derby car parts.
Derby car parts. That's cool. What do you think about being at the truck show and being around all these derby cars?
Pretty cool.
Awesome. How long have you been doing derby stuff?
My ammo was my first time.
Okay. GBATS continues throughout the day on Saturday. For more information, you can visit chromeshopmafia.com. For Landline Now, I'm Ashley Blackford. Stay tuned for more after this.
Control your toll costs and eliminate tolling headaches with Prepass Tolls. Prepass Tolls means toll volume discounts. Just one invoice for all tolls and fewer violations. Call 877-878-5970 or go to prepass.com.
Attention all truckers, Dean Michael, the tax doctor here. I want to talk to you about those dreaded tax problems. I know you want to keep on trucking and not even think about them, but let's face it, they're not going away all on their own. You need professional help. I've been helping truckers put their tax problems in the rearview mirror for years. I can help you too. Call me now for a free consultation at 888-557-4020 or go to mytaxhelpmd.com. It's like I always say, keep your eyes on the road, I'll keep mine on the IRS. 888-557-4020.
It's tested and proven. Burn 2.1% less fuel when you balance all wheel ends with Centromatic. Call 800-523-8473 to get the OOIDA discount.
Welcome back to Landline Now. Summer is behind us and fall is here, which means it's about time to get your paperwork and permits in order. We've got a few to make sure you've got on your radar right now, and joining us with all the details are Brittany Murphy and Caleb Sears of OOIDA's Permits and Licensing Department. Brittany, Caleb, good to see you.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you for being here. We've got a lot to get into here, and a lot of folks out there may already have some of these things on their to-do lists, but maybe not as well. A good refresher here for a lot of people, I think. I'm going to toss out, kind of just like a speed lightning round in a way, because we got so many different things to talk about here. So I'll bring up, the permit that we're talking about, and you kind of tell us what we need to know here. And we're going to start with the UCR, the Unified Carrier Registration Period for 2024. What do we need to know here? Registration is about to begin, right?
Yes, the UCR will open up October 1st, and you need to have that filed by December 31st. And of course, the price on that is going to be based on the amount of vehicles that you have operating under your authority. So it's paid in tiers. Most of the small owner operators are going to fall in that 0 to 2 tier truck.
Most people will fall in that tier, but then again, it's going to scale up based on what they have, obviously. The process, I think most people listening have gone through it. The process there, it's not all that complicated, right? It's a matter of crossing T's and dotting I's and making sure that you're getting everything right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's one of the easiest permits you can file for. You just go onto the UCR website, ucr.gov, put in your DOT number, and it lets you right in to just verify your information and put the card information in to make that payment. So it's a super easy one to do.
And I think that's important to note, too. We talk all the time about all these fraud schemes that are out there. This is not something that you need somebody else to do for you. Are you hearing about fraud, I guess, with UCR as well? I guess it's all over the place, but...
Yeah, with just everything. Yeah. But the UCR especially, yeah. Just make sure it's on that ucr.gov. That's the website you want to be on. Anything else, you don't want to put your card information to, because it's not going to the government.
Not ucr.com or ucr.net or any of those. ucr.gov is the one you want for that. And that, again, like you said, they're a simple process, but make sure you do it before December 31st, right?
Yes.
Starting October 1st, you can start that period there. Let's move on here. Also circling October on the calendar for filing your IFTA forms, the International Fuel Tax Agreement. I'll ask you the same question here that I asked about UCR. What do we need to know about this one?
So on the IFTAs, most states do open that up October 1st. With the IFTA, it's a little bit different because each state does their renewals differently. Some are going to automatically just go ahead and send you out a new decal, and you'll just get one in the mail. Others, you're going to have to order a new decal. Some of them are going to require that your third quarter be completed before they complete that renewal process. But you definitely should be getting something from your state advising you that that renewal has now opened up.
And that's usually something in the mail, right?
Absolutely.
This isn't an email. Again, I'm always thinking about fraud these days because there's so much of that going out there. This is a thing, an actual physical snail mail thing you're getting, right?
Right, yeah. And that's what I always like to tell my members as well, is that anything that you're going to get from most of the time, your state governments, federal government, it is going to be an email or a paper mail or an email that is from a .gov address or something that looks legit. Because a lot of times, they'll get a text and I'm like, well, the DOT's not going to text you. Nobody really should be texting you.
They won't even really call you either, right?
Yeah, no, they don't even really call you.
Yeah.
So it is definitely something a lot with the scams these days. Is something to just remind them that most everything they're going to get is going to be by paper mail from the state and federal governments.
Right. And Brittany, you mentioned the process. We talked about UCR, and that is a relatively straightforward process and what you have to do there. IFTA, a little more complicated. It will depend, as you said, on the state that you are based out of, right? And that's going to kind of dictate the process that you go through.
Yes, that is correct, yes.
Okay. So keep an eye on the mailboxes wherever you get your mail for your company there. That's where you're going to get it.
And just make sure at the end of the year you're displaying by the 31st you're displaying your decal for the upcoming year.
Get that decal on there for sure. All right, fantastic. Let's move through another issue here. Weight distance permits. Now, this is something that is only going to apply to people that are operating in a few states. Exactly what are we looking at here?
So the states that we have is going to be New Mexico, New York, Kentucky, Connecticut, and Oregon. Them are the 5 states that require additional weight distance permits to travel through their states. The only one that is up for renewal this year is going to be New Mexico. That one will open up October 1st, and you do need to have it renewed by December 31st as well.
So that's really only for people, at least right now, that are in New Mexico. So if someone's listening and they're in New Mexico right now and they operate in New Mexico, this is for them. The other 49 states, we don't have to worry about.
Anybody operating inside the state, so anyone that drives through the state at all, no matter where they're based out of, needs to have the permit, and they need to make sure they get it renewed and do those filings with it as well.
And this process, what does this one look like in terms of making sure you're doing everything right?
Well, for the renewal, so you should already be established with the New Mexico permit. You should already be doing your New Mexico quarterly filing. So now that the renewal has opened up, you're just going to simply log into your account, and there's going to be a button that says renew for 2024. You're going to make sure that your truck inventory is correct. It is VIN specific, and you do pay based on the amount of vehicles that you have operating.
Okay. Yeah, pretty straightforward there as well. But again, just make sure you're doing it.
Make sure it's done, yes.
That's the thing. I mentioned the calendar a couple times. This is really the time of year, it seems like to me, where you do need a calendar. You need to be circling dates and, making sure that you're, again, crossing those T's and dotting those I's, because you don't want to miss any one of these things. And a thing like that, a weight distance permit situation in one state, that feels like something that might be a little bit easier to overlook as opposed to IFTA or UCR or things like that. So
it is.
Always got to keep it in mind. One last thing here we need to keep an eye on too. IRP and MCS 150. These are biennial updates, but for some people, this is the time when they need to start thinking about these as well, right?
So on your MCS 150, that is your biennial update. That is based on the last 2 digits of your DOT number. So everyone's is going to be a little bit different. So say, you're ending in, your last 2 digits are 1-2. You're due every odd year in the month of February. So you wouldn't necessarily be due for your MCS 150 update. But on that IRP renewal, you need to be checking your cab card in your truck to see what month you're going to be up for renewal on your plates.
Yeah. Caleb, you get a lot of calls on this, I would assume, especially around, I guess it does kind of rotate and go around, but is there something in particular that trips people up about this one? Is it a little bit more confusing maybe for some people?
Yeah, especially the MCS 150. There's a lot of, especially stuff coming out in the mail with that one, scammers and stuff like that, where they'll say that you're due, but it is something it's kind of just a handy little trick to know, like Brittany said, the last 2 digits, the last one is the month that you're due, and then the one before that tells you the even or odd year. So it's always just kind of handy just to know that, so that way you quickly even know, if you see something like that, boom, you're done. You don't even got to do nothing because that they're lying. And you can easily check that as well. On FMCSA, they've got a safer company snapshot.
Yep.
Public view, you can check right there when that last MCS 150 was done. So you can easily check it right there as well.
Yeah, it's complicated enough just having to deal with the paperwork and remembering all these things. And then you have to deal with all the people who are trying to steal your money at the same time. And it becomes a lot. Just real quick here, if people have questions, concerns, problems, you are more than happy to talk to them and walk them through these processes, right?
Absolutely.
816-229-57. Let me try that again. 816-229-5791 is the number there. Call it up and tell them what you're having issues with, and they will help you out. Brittany, Caleb, it was a pleasure. Helpful information. We appreciate you coming by.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having us. We had a good time today.
Thank you.
That's our show for today. We appreciate you tuning in or clicking in or however you happen to stumble upon us. We hope you'll do it again tomorrow, and we'll see you then. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you want more content, go to landline.media to get updated news, information, and archived editions of our show. Once again, that's landline.media.
I'm a dad,
a son,
a husband,
wife,
I'm a writer,
photographer.
I farm.
I'm a veteran.
I love old cars, fishing,
my kids,
chrome,
and I am
a professional truck driver.
And together we are OOIDA.
OOIDA was founded by truckers to stand up and speak on behalf of truckers. We've done that by combining the individual voices of our members into a single, powerful voice. Protecting your interests, defending your rights.
Join us! Make your voice heard. Join OOIDA, the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association. Call 1-800-444-5791 or visit OOIDA.com.